Welcome back to Income Trading 101. Today we're going to take a look at the compound governance token. You can see it's had a nice little rally over the last few days. I just want to see how far back our data goes for compound. For those of you not familiar with compound, and this is only compound on what do you call it, on Coinbase. It probably goes back beyond that, but we're just going to take a look at the Coinbase US dollar variation. But compound is one of the, I would call it sort of an infrastructure to decentralized finance, much like Aave or Uniswap or some of these kind of lending platforms, staking platforms for stable coins and other opportunities. So let's take a look at the comp token. We're going to start off like we always do with moving averages. And of course, I like to look at those across various time frames as well, because it not only gives us a different view, but it will hopefully give us a more complete picture. And I'm going to turn our 10-day is going to be our near term. We're going to use green for that. We'll create our mid-range, our 20-day in red as a sell signal. And then this yellow we're going to turn into the 60 just so that we have a rolling history of where price has been. And we do this for every asset on this channel. I like having a handful of technical analysis indicators that I use. I look at them across various time frames and try to make find different resistance and support levels. So if you use technical analysis and you've seen these videos, you know what I'm talking about. If this is your first time seeing these videos, or if you haven't yet taken the time to, please do click on the subscribe button. It really does help me out, and I really appreciate you guys, those of you who have already subscribed and joined on this journey with me. So let's dive in. So at the daily level, we do see a period of consolidation. You can see that we'll call it from early to mid-May through mid or late June, you had an ongoing downward trend. But since late June, we've had, like last week, June the 26th, you've had several days of this market pushing higher and higher. So that has actually created it. We've moved from a period of clear downward movement to now we've got a consolidation. So I'm sure we're going to see a little more clarity at lower time frames. So let's take it to the 1 hour time frame. And like I said, much clearer here. You have a clear situation where the 10-day is high, or the 10 period is higher than the 20, is higher than the 60. So this is definitely a bullish pattern for the moving averages in the 1 hour. Still bullish at the 30-minute level, although you can see that it appears with this downward bar that we got earlier today. By the way, today is July the 4th, 2021. If you're in the US, happy July 4th to you. But you can see with this downward bar earlier that really started to change the slope of the 10 period moving average, and it's approaching the 20. However, it doesn't mean that it's going to cross, but certainly something to look at. But still, at this period, they are just about $1.50, $1.70 apart from each other, and we still have a bullish period. And let's take a look at the 15-minute. The 15-minute, we've had more oscillation, but as of right now, it's bullish as well. So our shorter time frames are all bullish with the moving averages, even though the daily is in a period of consolidation, mostly because it just hasn't had enough data to pull higher yet, but it most likely will, or it definitely will, if prices continue to go higher. So let's kick back out to the daily, and we're gonna this time take a look at a little momentum oscillator. The MACD is my favorite of these, and it's a great way to get a sense of momentum. Like I said, whether the market overall is pulling higher or lower. So what's interesting is you had a bullish crossover happen in the daily back here in June, but see how it just sort of flatlined? I always talk about that being a sign that the previous trend is going to continue, and it finally separated off back here on June the 26th. But at the daily level, at least, and we saw consolidation with the moving averages, the MACD is not showing a clear bullish buy signal. I want to see both the blue line and the red, the MACD and the signal line, go back into positive territory before I believe that this is a true change in the trend on the daily standpoint. I'm certain on the hourly, though, it's probably already bullish. So on the 1 hour, you had a bearish crossover back on the 28th, and it crossed, you see it crossed the zero line, had a bullish, and then that immediately took off above the zero line. So that definitely would have been a nice little buy signal here when the signal line finally did cross the zero line. As you can see, the MACD was already in the positive. You had a little bit of a bearish. This is sort of oscillating a lot more than I would like, so it's easy to get chopped up and sort of shaken out on these. So you see this bullish crossover. This was actually a bearish crossover, but it never was confirmed. It never was confirmed by going below the zero line, and sure enough, it went bullish again. So this would have been actually a nice crossover too if you had remained bullish here and never allowed this to shake you out. This crossover here is just another confirmation that price is bullish. Now, granted, we're getting a bearish crossover right now on the 1 hour, but again, I don't trust it until I don't actually go short until it crosses the zero line. And if it happened below the zero line, I don't go long until it crosses the zero line for that very reason. Let's take a look at the 30-minute. The 30 and the 15-minute are really hard to use this as an indicator. So here on July 2nd, just a couple days ago rather, you had a bullish crossover, and it immediately crossed over into the zero in a positive territory. Since then, we've had some different oscillations, but it's not really crossed the zero line, and it's gone back bullish since then. We do have a bearish crossover happening here, actually earlier today, but once again, I'm not a full believer just yet. I would not short this market using this indicator until they cross both lines, the signal and the MACD line, crossing the bearish territory. Let's take a look at the 15-minute just for the sake of it. So we've got bearish crossover on the 3rd. It did cross into the zero line, kind of oscillated around the zero line before heading back. The challenge, of course, with this short of a time frame is you get all of this sort of movement when in reality price barely moved, and then you had a bullish crossover. Now this has remained a nice little bullish trend. This is a bearish crossover that happened earlier today, and both lines appear to be heading towards the zero line, but they've not yet crossed over. So even if I was going to use the MACD line on such a short time frame, I would not be selling this just yet. I would wait until they cross over from positive to negative or vice versa before I fully trust it. So let's take this back to the daily, and we're going to do a quick Fibonacci analysis of this last move. This we'll call it this top here in May all the way to this low that happened in late June, just to see how much have we retraced right now. So we are approaching this 38.2%, which is sort of like your main initial Fibonacci level. What I also love about doing this is having these lines drawn. It's easy to see that this range that we're in now has played as resistance 1, 2, 3 times, right? So it's just going to be a matter of, do we end up breaking this? And if we do, I would expect us to start to head up towards the 50% Fibonacci level, this 984 region, which would call here. Let me do some horizontal lines here just so you see. So here's a level of importance. I would argue that this area is also a level of importance. These pure price pivots, and then you see over time how price has responded to these levels. So they might actually, like you can see, these bottoms here coincide with what could be a resistance or support level in these areas. And even though here in late May, in the 26th and the 27th, we saw price push beyond that level, it ultimately came back off. It was a struggle on the 31st of May, the 1st of June, and then June 2nd we blew through it. June 3rd we stayed above it. June the 4th we pushed right back below it, which lets me know there was still some selling pressure. That's what we call resistance, right? And we're here right now. We're sitting right there right now. Maybe we'll push higher. Let's see if there's anything else. I mean, your clearest levels tend to be previous highs, previous lows. Let's do a previous low here, and maybe one more over here. And I like to see these levels and how often they've played a role, because it adds a lot more, it's an indication of a lot more strength that you should definitely be aware of. If we were even to move this line a little bit higher, right? It puts you a lot closer to the bottom here, the tops in this region. So there definitely is some significance to this region that we're sitting on right now. So very interesting. I'm going to get rid of this Fibonacci and go ahead. So I really think if we can get through this level, this region that we're in, we have a good shot at getting a price rally like we did back here in April, straight back up to this area around 574, which wasn't too far off from the 50% retracement level. So that tends to be a strong play area as well. There's news about compound out there right now. So I believe it came out today or recently. So that could also be a reason for this nice upward move that we're looking at. And I mean, no reason to challenge that just yet. I mean, that's a nice move, right? You can also see that this has tended to really be a strong trending market. So this bar here, I mean, this bar matched the trend, but then this bar that we see happening back on June 28th really broke that previous trend, and it's been off to the races since then. You can see we went from, even at the high, if you were to get the high of that day, that was $320, and here we are just a week later, and we are over $100 higher. So this token is definitely in play, certainly worth taking a look at. I've used Compound before on the staking, the DeFi level. I have not traded this token, so if this is something that you actively have an opinion on, or that you're taking part in, feel free to leave a comment in the chat. Definitely love hearing from all you guys. And like I said, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe just yet, please do go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate it. And that's it. Markets, the equity markets are closed tomorrow, which means that for those of us who focus on crypto, we have a full day without any reason to focus on anything other than that. I trade a bit of everything, so I like to take part in crypto, and I watch stock and see what's going on in the futures and the bond markets as well, just to kind of get a global picture. And I really do feel like crypto is going to end up being a true global macro product. I know some other hedge fund traders that look at it the same way. So definitely a great market to be in. And this is one of the tokens to keep in mind. So that's it. Please do subscribe, and as always, happy trading.